This is the second unit, cell organelles and biomolecules, and today we are going to study about the plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is also called as cell membrane. The plasma membrane forms the outer boundary of the cytoplasm. In case of the animal cell, the outermost boundary is the plasma membrane, whereas in case of the plant cell, the outermost boundary is the cell wall, while interior to it is the cell membrane. Similarly, in case of the bacterial cell, this yellow color part is the cell wall, while this dark blue color boundary is the plasma membrane. It maintains the relationship of the cell with its surrounding. It is selectively permeable in nature. That means it allows selective molecules or ions to go into and go out of the cell. It regulates the entry and exit of molecule, thus it maintains cellular composition. The most reliable and the accepted model was given by Singer and Nicholson in 1972, which is called as fluid mosaic model. It is the most widely accepted model of the plasma membrane structure. Its key feature includes that plasma membrane is a lipid bilayer. One layer of lipid is this one and the another one is this one. It has globular proteins embedded in the lipid bilayer in a mosaic pattern. These are the proteins which are embedded in this lipid bilayers. These are also protein, and these are in the random fashion. The plasma membrane is dynamic and quasi-fluid in nature. Lipids and proteins can move laterally within the plasma membrane. These proteins and these lipids can shift their places also. Lipids and protein composition varies among different cells. For example, in case of the human RBCs, the concentration of protein is 52% and the concentration of the lipids is 40%, while if we consider any other cell, the composition may varies. Coming to the lipid bilayer, the lipid used to synthesize the to make the plasma membrane. They are phospholipids. That means they have a polar head. The circular part is the polar head of the lipid, which is made up of which has phosphate group over it, and the hydrophobic part, that is this tail, it is made up of fatty acid and it is non-polar. Lipid bilayer forms a stable but flexible boundary. Coming to the membrane proteins, based on their position and association with the lipid bilayer, proteins are two types. First is the peripheral membrane proteins, and the another one are integral membrane proteins. These membrane proteins which are here, these are the peripheral membrane proteins, and this protein is the integral membrane protein, which is embedded within this plasma membrane completely. So peripheral membrane proteins, they are loosely attached to the surface of the plasma membrane. They mainly involve in the cell signaling. They receive the signal from outside the cells and passes the signal inside the cell. Similarly, these peripheral membrane protein, they also receive the signal from inside the cell and then passes it to the outside the cell. Similarly, even this integral protein work in can also function as the signaling molecules. These are not embedded in the lipid bilayer. So coming to the integral membrane protein, these are partially or completely embedded in the lipid bilayer, and these are the transmembrane proteins which span the entire membrane. Most abundant type of integral membrane proteins functions as these they functions as a transporters, channels or receptors. Plasma membrane in prokaryotes. Uh, the plasma membrane in the prokaryotes is also similar to that present in the eukaryotes, but they have special structures called mesosomes. Mesosomes are infoldings of the plasma membrane. They appear as vesicle, tubules, or lamellae. They increase the surface area of the plasma membrane, which involve in the respiration, DNA replication, and cell division. So the functions of the cell membrane includes cell growth, cell division, cell secretion, endocytosis, and communication at intercellular junctions. Transport across plasma membrane. There is two ways by which transport can occur, that is by active transport or by passive transport. In case of passive transport, there is no need of energy, and it occurs along the concentration gradient, which means the molecules move from higher concentration towards the lower concentration. Uh, the passive transport is of two types, that is diffusion and osmosis. In case of diffusion, there is no need of any semi-permeable membrane. The movement of the molecules occur from higher concentration towards the lower concentration. While in case of the osmosis, the same happens. The movement of molecules occur from higher concentration to lower concentration, but there is present a semi-permeable membrane also. So in case the another transport is facilitated transport. It is also a type of passive transport, but in this case, some of the molecules, like we know that the plasma membrane is selectively permeable membrane, so it doesn't allow molecules to enter into the cells or to go out of the cells because of the nature of the molecules, like the charged molecules or those molecules which are of large size, they cannot pass the plasma membrane via osmosis. So for them, there is presence of uh, channels or protein over the plasma membrane, channels or carrier proteins over the plasma membranes, which allows their transport into or out of the plasma membrane based on the concentration of the molecules. So transport occurs with the help of specific proteins, and here no energy is used. In biology, the energy which is the energy molecule which is used is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So types of facilitating proteins are carrier proteins and channel proteins. Carrier proteins, for example, includes the glucose transporter, and in case of channel protein, the example includes these proteins actually forms pores in the membrane. The aquaporin, these are the special channel proteins which facilitate rapid transport of water in plant and animal cells. And ion channels, these are present in the nerve and muscle cells. These are highly specific, and these allows the transport of the ions like sodium, potassium, calcium, and chlorine ion. Active transport. In this type of transport, the movement of the molecules is against the concentration gradient, that is from low concentration to higher concentration. So Here the energy is needed. The example of such an transport is via sodium potassium pumps, in which sodium goes out of the cells and potassium comes inside the cell by the use of an ATP. There is ATP independent active transport also. Here the ATP is not required, but the transport is coupled with movement of another molecule along its gradient. So types of coupled transport. Uh, there are three types of coupled transport, that is sim transport, anti transport, and uniport. Symport, antiport, and uniport. In case of symport, two molecules move in the same direction, like sodium and glucose uptake. That means the sodium is also coming inside the cell, as well as the glucose is also coming inside the cell. In case of the antiport, two molecules move in the opposite direction, like in case of the sodium and potassium transport, or sodium or calcium exchanger. In case of uniport, transport of a single molecule is there, and the example is facilitated diffusion of glucose. So that's all. Thank you.